It's a beaver's world in Timberborn, an interesting colony sim game with some pretty interesting mechanics. In this video, I'm going to be grinding this game down and giving a full review of the game, rating it from decaf to fully caffeinated. Without further ado, let's grind this game down and see how it brews. Timberborn is one of those games that sets the world up really well, but then leaves it up to you to control the narrative. It's definitely a gameplay heavy type of game with not so much story, but that's not actually unusual for a tycoon colony sim type of game. The world building in this game is really cool, and of course the beavers are very adorable. The fact that you have the two different beaver factions adds an extra challenge to your gameplay, but it also adds to the world building, showing you how these creatures have evolved and how that adds to the narrative of the game. Overall, Timberborn has a pretty great atmosphere to build in. It's not very story heavy, but the world is set up well and leaves a lot of freedom to build how you want and focus on that building gameplay. So for story and world building, I'm rating Timberborn as fully caffeinated. Timberborn features a lot of typical colony sim mechanics with a lot of the same elements like food, water, housing, resource collection, and so on. While the game is definitely a colony sim, it also feels a lot like a survival game, and beaver happiness definitely is one of those ones that catches you by surprise, as you need your beavers to be happy to be able to grow your colony. Droughts occur frequently, so you need to be prepared for them by stocking up your water and supplies, because everything pretty much just dies as soon as the drought starts, which can impact that resource production. Bad tides have been added in the most recent update, and they add another extra challenge of flooding your colony with bad water. So it definitely adds to the game because you need to figure out how to manage that bad water. Can you make it avoid your colony altogether? Or do you have to just suffer the consequences and have dead things for however long it lasts? The terraforming and water direction is crucial not only to keeping your colony alive, but it's also really fun to do. You can use floodgates, dams, explosives, and all sorts of other contraptions to be able to manage the way the water flows in your colony, which is really cool. And you can actually have side sections to be able to flush out your bad water, good sections to be able to hold water during droughts. So it adds another whole aspect to the game that is really kind of surprising and really fun. It definitely makes an interesting hybrid of keeping your beavers alive and figuring out how to most efficiently direct the water flow on the map. Timberborn has multi-level building, which is really cool, and it definitely makes for some interesting city type landscapes, and it makes it feel a lot more functional because you can stack buildings on top of each other. That being said, you do also need to figure out how your beavers are going to access a different building, so it does pose a completely different challenge in the logistics side too. I haven't experienced any real bugs with the game, but it does get stuttery occasionally, especially as your colony grows and you're adding more and more information, but otherwise the game runs really smooth and feels really great to play. Overall, Timberborn has some really solid mechanics that can be pretty brutal and difficult, and you will often find yourself wondering why your beavers are dying and how to keep them happy. For game mechanics, I'm rating Timberborn as fully caffeinated. Timberborn has a great graphic style that really conveys the beaver life. The buildings actually feel like a realistic representation of what you'd expect a beaver with human intelligence to build, and I love that they've got cute log styles and all of that integrated into their buildings. It makes it feel really cool. The beavers are very adorable and are well designed. They look so cute going about their day. The UI is pretty functional, but it can be kind of tricky to work out where things are at first. Once you get used to it, it's great, but I do hope they add in a more thorough tutorial to the 1.0 version of the game. There's a whole bunch of different layer views that you can use, like a building layer, water layer, all sorts of different things to tell you how your colony is functioning, but they can actually catch you out when you forget you're selected on them, particularly if you forget you're selected on the building layer and you're trying to monitor your water flow, because it just doesn't show up properly. So that is definitely something to be mindful of. The music in Timberborn is really atmospheric, adding to the colony building experience, and definitely help you sink hours upon hours into this game. The sound effects are pretty useful to determine what's happening in your colony and are really good at alerting you to things like droughts or bad tides. Overall, Timberborn is a really thoughtfully designed game with really adorable beavers and well executed beaver style. The music and sound effects are really great, adding to the atmosphere of the game, and overall it just feels like a really great game to play. So for graphics and sound, I'm rating Timberborn as fully caffeinated. Timberborn is definitely unlike any other colony sim I've played. I think the unique terraforming challenge of being able to direct your water flow and figuring out how to manage it efficiently is surprisingly fun and addictive, and adds a whole other side to this colony sim game. I definitely think that the game focuses a lot on survival as well, so it's almost a colony sim survival hybrid, which is really cool. So with the 3 different things, the game just feels really unique. The bad tides and the droughts add an extra challenge to surviving and really make the game feel more about water preservation and direction at times than it does a colony sim. The beavers are also very cute. So for Originality, I'm rating Timberborn as fully caffeinated. Timberborn is a unique game that on the surface seems like a pretty straightforward take on a colony sim, but actually has a whole hidden terraforming, water directing, survival side that adds a whole lot of addicting fun to the game. The beavers are very cute, the mechanics are solid, and the game is well designed, with the story next to non-existent in the best possible way. We've ground the beans, we've carefully weighed and pressed the grinds, and brewed this game down. Now it's time for a taste test. Timberborn is fully caffeinated. Timberborn is still in early access, but you can buy it now on Steam. This one is one you could easily get 50+ hours out of now in its current state, so it's definitely worth the price right now, and I personally would recommend jumping on it before it increases as it adds more and more content. If you want to see some more Timberborn gameplay, you can check out some of my previous live stream videos here. Until next time, stay caffeinated.